Hello, I'm EnterElysium, and we are here in World War K2. This time, we're going to go back and try and destroy that fuel tanker because we had a rather unsuccessful attempt last mission. So, let's go into the vehicle assembly building and do our thing. What we're going for this time is a slightly different approach. So instead of building the heavy fighter, we're going to be building basically a frigate. I would say a light frigate, but don't think I'm going to go for a light frigate. I think it's going to be a full-on proper frigate. So we're just adding the core elements here. You see we've got an antimatter reactor, generator, and it's going to have its own warp drive. So it will be a very expensive craft. I tried to limit the amount of warp drives we put on things just because in the fiction that is World War K, I assume that they're fairly expensive because they are like the peak of the science tree. And so we've just chucked a plasma drive on there and argon. But honestly, it looks really naff there. And we put giant solar heat radiators on, and I honestly don't think it kind of works. So let's get rid of them and try something different. Now, I really do love this cockpit. It's really hard to use because of the octagonal fuselage. It just doesn't go with a lot of things. So by doing something like this, you can see we've got a bit of an odd neck appearing here. So we're going to try and hide that. So if we do this, and I think we'll need our antimatter. There we go, antimatter, put it on the back of there. And these two front sections are filled with liquid fuel and oxidizer. We'll probably just dump the oxidizer because at the moment we're using the fusion drive, and that will not use oxidizer. It just uses liquid fuel in addition to a lot of power and deuterium and tritium, which it already carries, but it uses mainly liquid fuel to get a higher specific impulse, get a lower specific impulse but a much higher thrust. It kind of injects the hydrogen into the deuterium-tritium reaction. So to get the actual reactors on, instead of putting a silly neck on, I'm going to do this. And you see here, it doesn't look half bad. By using the air intakes, which we're not using as air intakes, we're just using them as cool bits to be able to attach reactors on. I'm not doing too badly here. Now, I'm actually going to get rid of the fusion drive. It will disappear for a little while. But the reason I'm getting rid of it is the fusion drive only uses 2.5 gigawatts. We're making much more than 2.5 gigawatts. Each antimatter reactor, I think, is capable of more than that because it's antimatter. It's like the end of the tech tree call. So I think we'll get rid of that and just put a plasma thruster on the back because the plasma thruster can be proportional to how much energy you've got going into it. There we go. So two big cannons on the side, tank turrets. Those fire, I think, 12.7 centimeter projectiles, so 127mm rounds. Trying to think what we do for the radiators, because we will need a lot of radiators with this thing. The black body radiators are almost the right size, but I can't really find anywhere useful to put them. They look really naff. I really want to use them at some point, but they just don't fit. So I think we're going to use something different. Now, using the huge solar panels, there's not really any space. So if we use these medium ones, I think we'll probably be able to fit them somewhere. I'm just trying to think where. Now, I do have a cunning plan for that bay at the front. A lot of you are probably staring at it going, well, what are you going to do with that? Well, this is our frigate, right? Its main job is to slug it out with bigger ships than itself. But it needs a little bit of protection from smaller craft. So instead of putting some small gun turrets on it, we're going to fill it with a load of swarm missiles in the front bay. So we just open that bay and then we can let the swarm missiles rush out. So it's going to be a mini missile boat with big-ass turrets on the side. So now I'm just adding the ammo so that we can, not run out of ammo in a protracted engagement. And then I don't know if it'll actually work by putting the guns in there. I don't have the guns clipping, so let's put these on the side. Not the guns, the missile pods. The problem with missile pods is when they've got missiles in them, they do have a bounding box attached, and that bounding box can make things weird and push things around. So I'm just experimenting with putting them inside there. I think I'll get rid of that, and we'll use a plate instead. There we go. And we'll put 6 on, except it's because I've got symmetry on, it's flipped the other one so it's pointing down, so we'll have to try that again. There we go, 3 on that side, and then 1. It's really hard to get them in the same position again on the other side. Try and adjust that. Oh, and there we go. There we go, we've got 6 swarm missiles, and we'll bind each of them. Doesn't that look beautiful? And just fill them with high explosives. No need to put AP rounds on. High explosives have a high chance of detonating the fuel. So that looks absolutely gorgeous. And let's put the crew in. Now, we're just going to hire more crew. We're not going to put Lugi in. Lugi is the most veteran of our crew. And as you can see here, he is now not on board. We are in fact flying with Wildoff being the primary candidate. And we're attaching 2 heavy fighters to go with our frigate. So, of course, since the frigate has a warp drive, I just chucked 2 docking ports on it, one on top, one on bottom. And now we can carry 2 heavy fighters with us. So it's basically a small patrol vessel, in effect. It can take a little unit with it, which is pretty cool. This is going to be the first proper fleet action we've had. Well, the first fleet action we've had, I guess. It's a very small fleet, but it's the first fleet action. Now, Wildoth Kerman, who flew in the last mission, who flew one of these heavy fighters, is now, in fact, leading this expedition. He is in the frigate. His expertise are sorely needed. He's actually a veteran of the Styx military, now working with us. And as you can see here, it does look pretty damn pretty. That's too many of the word pretty. I need to work on more words. So, let's go. I'm not actually going to warp there on camera because it took a lot of time and was incredibly annoying. So, we're going to do that. And now we're here. Now, where is the... Oh, there, you can see it just about there, just flickering in and out. But we're getting an unusual contact from behind us. What's that?
Prepare to die.
Okay, it appears that they were waiting for us. They knew we'd come back to take out the fuel tanker, and they set up an ambush. It seems that now the mech-jib units have their own heavy fighters. So it's 3 heavy fighters and the fuel tanker, which is unarmed, it appears, versus our frigate and 2 of our heavy fighters. This is a fairly even battle. I will say that it appears that they are packing less missiles, but they have much more in the way of guns than us. So this is going to be pretty damn close. Of course, with human error, I guess. Well, Kerbal error, if that's a thing. So, we're also outpositioned. We've got our objective in front of us, but our enemy behind us. We could try and sprint ahead, but I think they might be faster than us. They do seem to be less bulky. So we're going to send 1 fighter behind us, and we're going to send 1 fighter ahead with the frigate, probably, depending on how this plays out. Now, my tactic here involves trying to take out the lead mech-jib unit with missiles before switching to guns and engaging the rest if I have to. But it appears they are coming in closer. They are splitting enough actions so that they can bring the entire force on us in a very short space of time rather than just sprinting one ahead. So let's take our first shot at the engagement and see if we can take one out. Missiles away, and... Oh, it's a hit, and its part count changed. So that looks like we've damaged them somewhat. I don't know how much we've damaged them. There doesn't seem to be any, like... is that a bit of fragmentation? Ooh. And they aren't registering as a mech-jib unit. They don't seem to be controlled. We might have destroyed the cockpit. In which case, that's an instant win for us because we're down to, like, 3 versus 2. We're kind of getting the advantage straight away. Brilliant. Now, it's a little bit difficult to aim from this sort of range with 30mm cannons. And as you can see, we have in fact knocked off the control unit. But mech-jib is coming in for the next strike. And looks like they're going to try and launch missiles on it. This is my guess from this distance.
Keep faith, Kerbal.
No, they're going for guns. Presumably because we're so close. Now, they do seem to be packing 12 50 cals, which is kind of a lot. We're packing 4 30mm on each of our heavy fighters. 2 AP, 2 high explosive. They seem to be packing 8 high explosive, 50 cals, and 4 AP. And of course, 50 cals being about half the diameter of their 30mm, so 30mm shell being a lot weightier, and they seem to have missed us and passed just straight past us. Now let's have a go with the frigate and try it out. Since they are going straight past, if we can just turn it around so that we can get the bay not pointing away from them, we can fire off a couple of those swarm missiles and see how they fare. We've already proved that the new Zephyr missile that takes place of the Hellfire missile is pretty damn good. We've already managed to get a kill of it, so let's fire these swarm missiles and see what we can get. There we go, they're away. Decided to fire 2 of the 6 tubes, just to make sure, and, ooh, part count. But it seems that the second batch detonated and missed the target. But we did have a hit on the first batch, so we might well have another one out of the action. Except it does seem to still be selected, so at least it probably is still active in some way, but it's at least really damaged. Right, let's select the frigate and we'll fly over to that. The idea being that we can... well, the tanker. The idea is we'll get the frigate to engage the tanker because it is designed for engaging larger objects with those big turrets. Now it looks like MechJeb is coming in. MechJeb is using monopropellant to power the plasma thrusters, which is fairly efficient and gives a lot of thrust. I think we're using lithium in our heavy fighters, which is more efficient, but nowhere near as the amount of thrust. I think they've got a lot more thrust than us. I think something like maybe 3 times the thrust. And, ooh, the one we hit with that swarm missile is badly damaged. You can see they have... yep, they've lost a lot of the plating and their camera is damaged. So they won't be able to aim as well. Now, our heavy fighter... this is the heavy fighter that I believe engaged earlier, so it's far out of the action, is it? Yes. There we go. Let's fire off our front swarm missiles on that heavy fighter. See if we can hit it. It's going to be close. Ooh, whoa, whoa! No, it looks like it managed to just dodge it. Ooh, let's go with 30mm cannon then. Come on. Now, of course, in space, being hit with a 30mm cannon is kind of a big deal because at the relative velocities of the craft, in addition to the muzzle velocity, and the fact that you want your crafts to be fairly light to be able to get off the ground, it's kind of an issue. Now, the Kerbals and MechJeb do have a lot more advanced technology than we would sort of generally think of, so they can get a lot more weight into space, and it does appear that a lot of this MechJeb stuff isn't made for atmosphere, so it's possible that MechJeb is constructing their vessels in orbit somewhere. We don't know where, of course. That would be very helpful to find out. But it means that they can have a lot more weight around because they don't have to shift the entire thing to orbit. They can just shift the parts. And it looks like they're coming in close to our fighter. And it looks like they've already fired their missiles on this one, so it could be that they're going for guns. Seems that they've only got a few guns working, and that they're not using the camera though. Might be a software glitch. It's not allowing them to aim properly, which is definitely a bonus for us. I'm not going to complain about that one.
Your flying sucks.
And only 3 of their guns are working, which is very strange indeed. But it does make it very hard to aim. As you can see here, they are completely missing us, which I'm not going to complain about. Any bonus I can get right now. No, I think currently we still have the advantage in that we are free for, well, 1.5, I guess. But unfortunately our frigate has shut down. It seems to have overheated because it had the heat panels retracted during combat. This is, of course, still in the testing phase, this frigate, and possibly could do with a little bit more heat storage and heat dispersal when it's stowed. When it goes into combat mode, we retract the panels to make sure they don't get damaged. Problem is, it doesn't seem to have much capacity for the heat, so it tends to overheat. And as you can see, I'm now going to have to activate all the generators instead of actually concentrating on the target. We're going to have to spend our action for this time repairing, well, not repairing, but turning everything back online, because everything has just shut down to stop itself overheating. So let's point a bit towards the tanker and try and catch up. See, our waste heat is still going up, it seems. Oh no, it's going... yeah, it's going up. I'm going to try and do a very slight burn. Now, it looks like the MechJeb unit that's damaged is coming towards us, but is having trouble with its off-center center of mass, causing it to wobble around a bit, so it means it won't be able to travel as fast. Of course, they still have a lot higher thrust than any of our craft. We probably need to switch over from using the low thrust lithium on our heavy fighters to maybe something like the monopropellant. Argon is, of course, extremely useful. It's great propellant. However, it only comes in 2.5 meter parts. It seems that whoever we're buying them off doesn't seem to do smaller parts, which is a shame. We should definitely source some better stuff from our suppliers. Now, we're just going to try and slow ourselves down as we get close, and then we're going to switch to the turret and take a few pot shots. There's a mech job fighter that's been chasing us, closing in. Looks like the damaged one. So it might be that this mech job fighter is going to get a shot on us before we get a chance. So we should probably try and take them out after they do their slow down. Now they fired a missile at us. It seems they only got one missile. We must have taken out the other missile earlier when we fired on them. But this missile missed on its first pass, it looks like. And again... Ooh, it detonated, but I think it completely missed us there. So we are safe on that one. If that hit us, that could have been pretty deadly. Looks like they are slowing down. They're going to try and get into guns range with us. Well, we still have swarm missiles, and they are the only one in range. So I think we're just going to unleash all of our swarm missiles if we can, and take them out. So there go all of our swarm missiles. And let's switch back to the tanker and try and engage the tanker. Oh, whoa, whoa, there go all our missiles. All missiles have detonated early. We are now at the mercy of that fighter. This is not good at all. Crap. Oh, and they're getting hits. Something's been damaged. Something exploded. That's not good. Oh. No, 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 no. This is a brand new frigate with one of our 2 veteran Kerbals on board. Lugi, of course, stayed back at base for this mission. I don't know, presumably train up the new recruits, but oh, it looks like I can't see a turret anymore. It looks like they might have taken out the turrets on the side.
Primitive Kerbling.
Which would be unfortunate because that's the only armament we have left on this frigate. Bollocks. We have no missiles, we have no turrets. We are officially in the doo-doo. Oh, we still have engines and we still have power, so we'll do a light ram. Nothing hard, we're not suicidal here. The Kerbals know that they're very important and that we spend a lot of money training them, so that it looks like they're going to go for a light ram just to try and damage the fuel tanker, it of course being a fuel tanker and not very well armoured. Now, we're going to try and bring... Oh, there's a part count change. That looks like maybe they impacted, maybe they collided while we were trying to get the heavy fighters into position. I wonder how much damage has been done. It did say quite a lot of changes to the part count, so I'm assuming that that means there's been quite some impact and there will be horrendous amounts of damage when we switch back. Oh! The other heavy fighter seems to have been damaged. Not destroyed. Wow. Our frigate. Pieces have gone everywhere. The enemy fuel tanker seems to have completely detached its cargo. But we have lost our frigate. And we have lost the other heavy fighter. There is only one heavy fighter left. And it looks like MechJeb has one fighter still operational and possibly the damaged fighter. So it's about 1.5, 2 versus 1 now. In addition to the fact that we have Kerbals in the engagement area trapped aboard our frigate and the other heavy fighter that have no way of escaping now. The damaged MechJeb unit still operational, it looks like. Despite the catastrophic event that must have happened, I'm assuming there was some sort of antimatter containment overload. Possibly the deliberate sabotage by MechJeb. But now we have the issue that we have one fighter left and they have just about two active fighters. We do have a better armed one, we have missiles. They seem to have expended their entire supply of missiles so far. But it looks like it's going to be real problems from now on. We also have no way of getting out of here. The warp drive was on the frigate and the frigate is badly damaged. I guess the only hope is for us to try and reload the missile tubes and fire them off. Well, we still have a MechJeb fighter nearby in range. Wildorf has volunteered, despite the fact he's in an active war zone, to get outside of the craft and see what he can do with the missile tubes. It looks like they're damaged. He's going to try and fix them, but without proper apparatus to fix them and no real repair station, it doesn't look like he can do the job. This is to say, it can't be fixed. We're going to try and find one that's not damaged. It looks like all of them are damaged and none of them can be loaded. He's going to have to go back in the craft and plan for the next stage. How will we get them out of here? And I've been EnterElysium, and I'm actually going to leave it there for this episode. Yeah, if you like the episode, please like it. If you're not subscribed and you want to subscribe, or you kind of want to see more, or whatever, just, subscribe. I kind of really appreciate those things. And I guess next time we'll find out what the hell we're going to do with this massive mess in orbit of Duna. I've been EnterElysium, and stay shiny.